everybody. Thank you so much for coming to Wrinkle Society of Hope. If this is your first time, welcome. And those that are returning, thank you so much. Today, you are going to experience a woman who is courageous with a K share her motivational, encouraging story with you. Now, if you would like to know more information about Wrinkle Society of Hope, go to wrinklesocietyofhope.org. And don't forget, hit subscribe and share our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button so you can hear about the new stories that come every week. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to hear from you all soon. Here we go. All right. Hey, Wrinkles family. Again, I have one of the Santa Cruz Dust Devil alumni. We were together, though. So this is truly one of my classmates. We were together at Santa Cruz, graduated way back when. So please introduce yourself to the Wrinkles family.
Hi, my name's Cecilia Leba. In high school, Cecilia Zarate. I'm a mother of two, soon to be 16, and a 7-year-old. I'm married. We've been together 22 years, so we've been married almost 17 years.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's just as young as I am, so she don't have any wrinkles either. No. Any wrinkles that we show. But if you had got a physical wrinkle, how would you feel about that? How would you feel about a physical wrinkle?
I'm okay with that. Those are my I've earned those. I've earned those wrinkles. I've earned those. Especially with everything, I've earned those wrinkles. So I'm okay with them. You know, I mean, eventually, honestly, I'm scared of doing anything to my face, so I'll take the wrinkles.
Just go with the flow, right?
Yeah, I'll just go with the flow. I'm scared to do anything to my face. So, yeah, but like I said, I've earned these wrinkles with everything I've done, with everything I've gone through since I was a teenager. These are earned, so I'm proud of them.
Yeah,
I'm proud of these wrinkles. Yeah,
wear them as a badge of honor. Why not, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And as you said, we done been through some things. We graduated in the 90s, not to tell our age too much, but during life, what is one of the wrinkles in your life that you had to press through?
There's been two, actually. The death of my father, right after high school, and then the sudden death of my mom 5 years ago. So those two were like the hardest wrinkles of my life because I'm still young. I was still like, I hadn't built my family yet. When my dad died, I was barely, dating my now husband. So he met me when my dad had he barely passed away. So he didn't get to meet him. And then my mom suddenly died 5 years ago. It's going to be 6 in May. And that was a total shock. So those were the two ones. And then I don't have brothers or sisters. So I went through it alone. With their deaths, both of them. I do have half brothers and sisters, but they don't live here in state. And I'm not very close to them. And then thank God I have the best. My husband's family is the best, so they really helped me get through both of their deaths and made sure that I was okay because they were there for me, and I will forever be grateful for that.
When your mom, let's talk about your mom first, because I remember that. I do remember that. I remember your mom very well. I remember your dad too, actually, but I really do remember your mom. So what emotionally, how did you cope with that at the time? Because I remember it was a surprise. It was a shock. How did that affect you at the time?
It took me into a really bad place. So my daughter was born in 2005. 2006, I was diagnosed with bipolar. So when my mom died, I had already obviously by then I've known to control and focus on, not to go into a depressive state or manic state as they say. And I did. I went into a deep depression. In fact, I don't remember. My mom died May 15th. I don't remember anything from that day when I found her till about, I think it was October. And it's because my daughter came to me and she had a meltdown. And then I realized that I wasn't the only one suffering. I was the only one grieving.
Yeah.
So that brought me out, especially, and it was the one day I was driving on the freeway and had an anxiety attack, had to pull over and call 911 because I had really bad thoughts. And right after that, like I said, my daughter came to me, to my husband and I, and was grieving about my mom. And I realized that I had lost focus on my family, on my friends, on my work, and my marriage. We're to the point where, like I said, I don't remember. I try to remember. I see pictures that pop up on Facebook memory or other memory, and I'm just like, or my friends will talk about, remember when we did this? And I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember because I was such a state of depression and such a state of grieving.
Yeah.
That I honestly don't remember those months of, of what my family was going through. And I lost focus on my family to the point where my marriage was it was almost ending because I had no focus. I wasn't focusing on my husband or my children. And that was the hardest. It was hard to push through. It was, it's something even today that it makes me emotional because I felt like I was being selfish to my feelings. And I didn't realize that at that time, I didn't realize that my family was also suffering. I just thought it was me because it was my mom.
Yeah.
But that was my husband's mother-in-law who she was here all the time. She moved out from California, Arizona to be with us, to be here. My daughter, that was who raised her. So when I was at work, she was watching her, and so I didn't realize that they were also, because I was in so much a deep depression, such a deep grieving and lost focus that I honestly can't remember anything of that year up until October. It was October, November. I don't remember things unless something pops up on memory or they'll tell me. I'm like, that happened.
Yeah.
So that was one of the hardest times in my life. It was hard.
You lost yourself.
I lost myself. And like I said, I still feel a lot of regret. I feel very guilty of it. Because I felt like I was being selfish to just my needs. I was just like,
but can I speak to that a little bit? One thing that I tell people all the time, because, I've done hospice for a very long time. Of course, your mother's passing was unexpected, but the big thing is that grief is personal, and you grieve every person differently, and every person grieved that person differently. So what you were going through, unfortunately, yes, it was a deep depression that you went into, but it was you grieving your mother, and everybody around you was grieving your mother differently.
Yeah.
And as women, we don't allow ourselves I think sometimes we actually do break.
Yeah.
Break. Because we're so used to taking care of everybody else. We're used to putting everybody else first, that when we're so strong, when it gets to something that we can't handle, we break.
Yeah.
We do. So it's okay. That's my main thing to say to you. I know this wasn't like the session that, but I felt like I can't let this pass, because it's okay that you were at a place where you were, because you were grieving, and grief is an emotion and something that you have to do personally and deal with it personally. And therefore it's okay how you grieve, whatever that situation is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that, you went through that. So how did you, I know you had to wake up. Did you do anything for yourself to deal with that after you realized that you needed some self about,
I, yeah, I ended up going to therapy for grief, because like I said, I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
And I guess another thing of why I felt so back to feeling guilty about, I didn't grieve this much like I did with my father.
Okay.
Backstory on that is that he had cancer for 2 years. So I had already built up,
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of knew that one day that the cancer wasn't going to eventually beat him. So I was like, okay, when you hear the C word, you're always like, oh, in your head, you're going, eventually this is going to end. It's not going to end well. So I prepared everything. So when the day he died, it wasn't a big shock to me.
Yeah.
So then when my mom died, I felt, like I said, I felt guilty about me grieving, but I also felt because I was grieving my mother so much.
Yeah.
I didn't grieve that way with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt so guilty about that. And I kept telling, and I felt like I was questioning my love for them. And I was like, no, that wasn't it. It's just that I realized that my mom was sudden, like literally sudden, with one day to the next.
Yeah.
I talked to her one night, and then I found her like a day later.
Yeah.
And so my dad, I had 2 years to prepare for his death.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. I didn't have anything to prepare me for my mom's.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned in therapy, is that it wasn't that I didn't love my dad less, or because I was 19 no, it was because I had time to prepare. So I went into therapy. I was in therapy for about, I think it was 6 months, and then we ended up, and then that's when my job changed. We got bought out by different companies. So I couldn't use it. Insurances changed and all this changes. So I had to stop. And then, but by then it was like 6 months of therapy already. So I felt pretty good about my grieving, and I understood. And I also, it made me realize, made me understand the feelings of my family, how they were feeling. And even though they were like, okay, why is she still grieving? I had I accepted their feelings.
Yeah.
Does that I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I would always be mad but why are you grieving that way? But I realized that everybody grieves differently. Mm-hmm. And everybody takes death a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. And so, and that was something I also, learned to cope with, and learned in therapy, was that not everybody grieves the same, and it's okay. Some are going to be angry. Some are going to be really sad. Some will never talk about it. Like, for example, my husband can't talk about it. He can't talk about her death. He can't talk about the grieving I went through. But yeah, I think it's because he has both his parents here. Mm-hmm. And he's never lost anybody very close to him. Mm. And so I think that's why he has a hard time when we talk about it, because it's like, he doesn't know. Like, he's like, it's hard for him to talk about. Really, it's really hard for him. So that was something I had to learn in my head. Like, it wasn't because he was being a jerk or cold hearted. It's just that he just hasn't had that experience, and it's different. And so, even though he loved my mom, it was hard to talk. I mean, he loved my mom. It's just hard for him to talk about. It just, I don't think it's like, I don't know if it's because it's not reality, or I really don't know, but I have a lot of it is to do with the fact that he has both his parents here. And I think he also, and it's something we don't talk about, my husband wasn't here when it happened. He was out of state for work. Oh. So I think I don't know if it bugs him, or I don't know if he feels like, oh, I let her down. I wasn't here. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard for us to talk about, because he just will be like, we're not talking, like, he won't talk about it. Mm-hmm. But it's something I had to learn, that it's not him being like, oh, not talking about it because he didn't care. It's because he cares, but he just doesn't know how to show the emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm glad that you went through therapy. I'm glad that you've been through that. And it's day by day, moment by moment still. There's no timeline on grief. No timeline on grief. Nobody can ever tell you that you're going to be okay. Never that. You spoke a little bit about, you said you had bipolar. When did you get that diagnosis?
Right after my daughter was about to be, she was going to be a year. It was actually so she was born April of 2005.
Mm-hmm.
It was right after I fell into a very postpartum depression, and then I got really like in a manic state a few months after that, to the
Mm-hmm.
point where I tried to commit suicide.
Mm.
And I didn't, I felt like I was a failing as a mom. I felt like I was failing as a wife, and it was too hard to deal with. Like I didn't, but my emotions were, I was a wreck. And finally, when my doctor was like, there's something more going on. I was diagnosed, I would believe it was either February or March of this, just short of my daughter turning a year.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I went to, they went to, a therapist again and to everything evaluated. And sure enough, I was diagnosed with manic depressive 2 or bipolar 2, which is, where, depression and manic, and it's it's high levels of up and down.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. High levels of up and down. I was put on, medication, different trials. First one being, it was Depakote, but that put me in such a state of the zombie that even my friends cried to me and said, "No, you can't be this way," because I would just sit there,
Yeah.
no emotions. It just put me in a zombie-like state. So they took me off of that, and then they put me on lithium. Lithium ended up one day, I ended up with the severe migraine, and I couldn't see out of my left eye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I couldn't see out of my left eye. So they had to change me again. They put me on Abilify, and that was working for a long time. But I ended up gaining, and I know this sounds so vain.
No, no.
Why? But I ended up gaining so much weight off of that medication. It was working. It was wonderful. Like I loved it. I ended up gaining. I went from being like 135 pounds to 195. So I was
Oh,
hitting 100 pounds. Yeah. Yeah, so I then obviously, like I already had taught, my husband, we were like, they had always told me if we talk about having children, I couldn't be on that medication. So I ended up like just telling myself like, okay, because of how much weight I gained, I wasn't comfortable with that, so it was putting me more into a depressive
yeah.
state.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just with everything else, I said, okay, to start like we would like talk about having children, but we weren't sure. um, they started winging me off. But I didn't want to be on medication. I didn't want to depend myself on medication. My goal was to depend on God. That was where I was like, I knew that He can get me through this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't like how any of the medications made me feel. Like I just felt like it was like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it felt like. And so I didn't, and me being, I'm in pharmacy. And so I knew that it could get, it's going to get, they're going to add more and more and more and more. And I didn't want that. I said, I can do this by myself. So I've been without medication since 2010,
Wow.
no, 2011, up until recently when the pandemic hit. And I've gone down again a depression, a spiral down, and I'm actually going to back to therapy because it's just been a hard year
Yeah.
mentally, and I'm to the point where like I think I do need some help with medication now because it's just too much. It's just too much
Mm-hmm.
for as a mom and as a wife and work and everything else that's going around.
Mm-hmm.
I I feel like I can't do it. I feel like every day is a struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to have bad thoughts, and I don't want to. So I feel like it's time to me. I think mentally I'm tired
Yeah.
of trying. So I think it's time for me to be back on, something just to help me, with these racing thoughts or
Yeah.
so depressed because like it's just getting. I feel like every day it's getting a little worse. It's getting worse, and then I still have my children are seeing me now. Now they're older.
Mm-hmm.
They see me, and and I don't want to put my kids, especially my daughter's seen a lot my bad, when I, with my manic depressive, and my son has never seen it. So I don't want to put my daughter again through that.
Yeah.
And I don't want my son through that. Yeah. I don't want to put them through what my daughter went through when she was little, but she saw mom going through. So I don't want to put her again through that.
Thank you so much for being open to share, because there's so many women that I know for sure that know that they need something. They're either going through these phases of, like you said, manic to depression. Some women are just suffering with depression. Some women are suffering with voices and fatigue. And the fact that you said so many great things, that you decided, okay, I'm gonna get therapy. You decide, okay, I know right now I'm strong enough, so I'm gonna take myself off the medication. But then now you say, okay, you know what? I might need a little bit of stabilization for a little bit, and then I'll be able to get back myself strength back so I can get back off of it. Taking the steps to take care of yourself, but acknowledge the fact that we need help.
Yeah, I think a lot of why I love, and I am glad to share my my story, because it's so taboo. It's so like, and it's crazy how much, like, how new, quote unquote, mental awareness is. It's very new.
Yeah.
Because even though it's been around forever, it's very new, and everyone, like, it's kind of different with everyone, and then depending, I mean, like, a lot of people, I mean, cultural, I mean, being a woman, I mean, and a lot of, and even being your race, it's very taboo. It's like, some people feel like, I mean, in my culture, it's you're weak. Like, how dare you? Or they just plain out, and people think you're just, quote, again, crazy. Yeah. And it's, so people don't want to be labeled that way. And that's why I've always shared my story, because I want to help others to come out, and you don't be ashamed. I mean, it's not something you should be ashamed about, and it shouldn't be something that people, and half the time people have there's not enough knowledge out there about, because it's like, again, it's very taboo.
Yeah.
Very taboo. I mean, I work in a pharmacy, and the last year, our dispensing of anti-anxiety and antidepressants have gone up. It's been like every day. I mean, we have a bottle of 1,000 count of certain medication. We go through that every other day. 1,000 count bottle, and it's gotten worse. And so many people are feeling the same way, but they don't know how to express themselves. I'm like, you may be depressed, you have anxiety, and you might have, you're panic, and they're like, no, I don't have that. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Feel this way. It's okay. Yeah. Because, like, it's just very taboo to talk about. And I mean, even to this day, I have family members who be like, oh, you shouldn't really talk about that. And I'm like, why? Yeah. It's me. It's me. This is me. This is real. This has a real face. This has a name. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not. I mean, I've done some. I mean, been in my depressive states and in my manic. I have not proud of the things I've done, but that was part of being in those states. And it has to be out. We have to. It. Even though, how could I put this? I'm a normal person.
Yes.
I come from, what I'm saying? Like, so it can happen to anybody. I mean, and mental awareness doesn't have a name, a face, a race, age. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, it can hit anyone. And it needs to be talked about more, because especially with this pandemic hitting, I've seen the rate of our dispensing of, like I said, of antidepressants and anti-anxiety. And I've seen a lot of suicide attempts where hospitals are calling us saying they found our bottle on the side bed of so-and-so. And I've been in pharmacy for 13 years. And the last year we've had, was it 6 calls already?
Wow.
6 calls, and one of being a 15-year-old. It's reality.
It's reality.
And we have to talk about it, because it's going to get worse. And it none of us should be ashamed of it, not ashamed of it, because it's out there and it's real. And I feel like like it has to be talked about. It has to be. You shouldn't just put it in the back burner. And like I said, it's very new. Mental awareness is very new, very new. And now you do hear people talk about, you do hear more celebrities talking about it. You do hear, you do now, but it's taboo. It's very like hush hush. And I don't know. I just feel like we need to break that. We need to break that barrier. We need to talk about it, because I feel like if we talk about it more, then we can accept it. And people especially you accept it. Like if you have been diagnosed with something, you can be like, oh, okay, you can accept it, and that way you can live with it and accept, and you can get help and not be embarrassed about it. I don't know if that makes sense. Or
that does. And you said the main word, live with it. It's not like, oh, I can't live because I have this. No, you live with this. You could say I am such and such, and I live with depression, or I live with, the diagnosis of bipolar, or I live with anxiety. However, I'm living, I'm pushing through it. I get the help I need, and I do what I got to do to continue to live with it.
Yeah.
I agree. So now that you have pushed through so much in life, and, and like you said, being by yourself, no siblings that you grew up with pretty much. And, the woman that you have become today, and let's say you got a t-shirt made, what would that t-shirt say today?
I am strong. I am me. I don't know if that I am strong. I am me.
Yeah. You are. I've been knowing you for a long time.
Yeah.
We've done some things in high school together. I know.
Not that bad. My daughter probably is listening.
But you are a beautiful woman, and you are strong. You continue on to do what you got to do. And thank you for coming forth and speaking out, because that needs to happen more. And I totally agree that if more people actually show that I'm a normal person and this is real, this is me, but I'm strong. And I make good choices to make it through every day. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
I appreciate it. Well, we're going to go. Thank you so much, Wrinkles, and hope that we see you again. Bye, Wrinkles.
Bye.